From Department of Commerce, Tezpur University. My name is Dr. Prasenjit Roy, and with my co-author Dr. Vishwajit Ghosh, we have prepared this research article titled Firm Performance vis-a-vis Working Capital Management, an Empirical Study of Indian Real Estate Sector. Now, what is working capital? Working capital refers to that part of firm's capital which is used to finance the day-to-day operations. Now, why it is important? Because it maintains the liquidity position of an enterprise, without which it affects the short-term capacity, financial capacity of the firm, and it affects the long-term position. Now, why real estate sector? Because it is one of the essential sectors for the development of a country. It has numerous dimensions such as employment, utilization of natural resources, increasing the income level of the people, etc. Further, when we look into the real estate sector, the requirement of funds are also having different aspects such as land acquisition deals, purchase of raw materials, labor payments, lease payments, legal issues, permits, etc. Hence, this prompted us to take this particular topic. Now, moving on, real estate sector in India holds the second fiddle in generating employment, right after agricultural sector. And the present status of India is quite has improved over the period where global real estate transparency index has given it a score of 34. Now, COVID-19 outbreak has become a roadblock for its development. Nevertheless, the sector has been moving on in a progressive manner. The real estate sector also is the third largest sector where we see FDI inflow. Various initiatives by the government, such as Housing for All, has been anticipated to further impact this particular sector in a positive growth. Now, the objective of the study is to find out the impact of working capital management on the firm performance, especially in the real estate sector. Now, here we also have some sub-objectives where we break down the working capital management into further on the basis of operating cycle, where we have inventory conversion, accounts payable, receivable, and cash conversion cycle. All of this has an impact. Whether it has an impact on firm performances or not is our main focus of our study. Now, the review of literature has various approaches towards understanding working capital management. Now, here we have static approach that talks about the balance sheet measurement, where we have current assets, we have current assets minus current liabilities. We have operating cycle approach, which talks about purchasing of raw materials, conversion through work in progress, and then through finished goods, and then through sales, and then again paying off to the creditors. So all these things has been considered in identifying the best measurement aspect for working capital. Further, we also try to measure the firm performance. So we had to consider various research articles where return on assets, operating profit, return on investments, and market based measures such as Tobin Q has been already taken by other researchers. Now, empirical evidences suggest both kinds of relationships, negative and positive, where we find an evolution in the study where Western researchers has over the period reported positive results, whereas in the Southeast Asia and South Asia, we find numerous studies has reported a negative relationship between working capital management and firm performance. Now, our research methodology takes data from capital, or rather, the population and the sample is taken from capital line, where we have around 123 research based on real estate firms. We have taken the research study and for the period 2002 to 2019, which gives us 1498 firm year observations. Then we have dependent variable such as return on assets and market to book ratio. We have working capital measurements such as accounts receivable period, accounts payable period, inventory conversion period, and these are again taken up as a composite measurement for cash conversion cycle that gives us the measurement for working capital management. Then we have empirical model, which we have used here as random effects regression model upon the calculations based on Hausman tests. So this is the descriptive statistics of the variables taken up for the study. For the results in the descriptive statistics, we find that the real estate sector has a longer working capital cycle or operating cycle as compared to the other Indian listed firms. Now this indicates that the requirement of working capital will be higher. Further, the leverage suggests that 23% comprises debt out of total assets in Indian firms. The growth rate during the study period is 29.06%, and the operating expenses are 34% of net sales. On the hindsight, the positive aspect of comparison is that the operating expenses is significantly lower in real estate companies as compared to Indian listed companies. The same can be found in the real estate in the return on assets sector as well, where we find that it is lower for the real estate company as for against the Indian listed firms. The debt to equity ratio indicates that the Indian firms are more dependent on debt than the real estate firms. The correlation results show that there is a significant relationship with the independent variables, except GDP and growth, respectively. There is a significant positive relationship between firm performance and working capital. Now, in order to check the multicollinearity issue, we have used the VIF as per the suggestions given by Gujarati et al. And the values are within the specified limit, so multicollinearity will not be an issue. So this is the model where we have return on assets and market to book ratio as the dependent variable and the other aspects of the model. Now the econometric results of ROA gives us an indication that there is a positive relationship of inventory conversion period with the ROA, where a longer conversion period affects the ROA of the firm. Contrary to operating cycle approach, which suggests that a shorter cycle in inventory and accounts receivable decreases the working capital requirement, further reducing the dependency on other sources of finance. This increases the chances of profitability. The ARP, that is the accounts receivable and accounts payable, have a negative relationship with ROA. The ARP relationship indicates that a shorter receivables period has a positive effect on financial performance. However, a longer payable period in APP will impact in lowering the financial performance. Leverage and GDP have a negative relationship in the M1, M2, and M3, except for inventory conversion and accounts payable. The period of ROA models fall in the line as per the existing literature. The market to book ratio results indicates that there is a strong significant relationship of the working capital variables with MBR, except the accounts receivable period. It indicates that there might be no direct linkage of working capital management with the market value of the real estate firms. Although accounts receivable period has a significant negative relationship, which implies that the longer receivable period from the debtors affects the market value of the firm. Now, firm performance and cash conversion cycle, as cash conversion cycle is capturing the working capital management. Since ARP, ICP, and APP are elements of working capital, the effect of firm performance has been addressed through individual models. The combined effect of these elements is captured through cash conversion cycle. In both the models of ROA and MBR, the relationship with CCC could not be identified significantly. The coefficient for both the models are positive, although insignificant. It points out the importance of CCC. This implies that a short conversion cycle will impact to a higher ROA and MBR. Upon conclusion, we find that real estate is a capital intensive industry having multiple edges. It ranges from land to raw materials acquisition, from labor to various regulatory payments for permits, etc., which makes the requirement of working capital a vital component in its decision making. The conversion period in all the components as observed in our study are lengthier in comparison to all India listed firms, indicating an unique nature of the real estate industry. Nonetheless, it is advisable that the real estate sector may consider a few changes in working capital management. Firstly, the inventory position of the real estate firms could be improved by decreasing the conversion period. Secondly, the receivables period could be decreased in order to have a positive impact on the financial performance. Last but not least, the firms might also consider increasing the payables period so that they can get more time for paying short term debt. This would have a positive impact on financial performance as firms will require less working capital following the operating cycle approach. The essence of operating cycle approach is that a shorter period in accounts receivables, accounts payables, and accounts inventory conversion would have a positive impact on the firm. Shorter the period, lesser is the dependency of working capital on any external sources. Consequently, a lesser use of working capital impacts the lowering of cash outflow and decreases the financing cost. This helps in cost reduction, which complements better margin, thereby increasing the value of the firm. So, with this, I come to an end to my presentation. Thank you for your time.